Hey Ranger Nation, welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about episode 21, Void Trap, which I have got to admit has been one of the best episodes that we've seen for Dino Fury so far. I think that there have been some really nice, cool episodes. This one has been one of my favorites because I love the action, I love the scenes, I love the storyline, I love the plot to it. I think it is possibly one of the best. Now, there's probably one little thing that I would have probably changed, but part of it, this episode has been absolutely fantastic. The choice of writing, the choice of like actions, and as well as the fight scenes. We get an absolute banger of a fight scene at the very end, but let's kind of talk about this. So in the previous episode, we saw that Void Knight and everyone have seen the morphing grid and they want to tap into it. Void Knight actually reveals the name of his partner, which is Centaur, which I hoping that's her name, because he's just like, my beloved Centaur. So I'm guessing that we've seen her name now and like we know it. So if it pops up like, oh, my mum is named Centaur, and Amelia says that, I'd be like, well, now we know it officially. So this is kind of a very interesting thing because he talks about the morphing grid. He says like, all that raw power, we're able to do it. So he then obviously has stolen the components for the previous one, for the device that can tap into the morphing grid. And yeah, he kind of goes on over and over. Boom Tower is back again, which I don't know why they keep bringing him back. Obviously, maybe because of Rhea Soldier parts. But to me, I just generally thought we didn't really need Boom Tower back. I would have spent more time bringing back other generals. Maybe we could have seen other characters from the past that could have been like, hey, this is my plan in case this doesn't work. Off you go to this other part of the dimension. So I feel like that would be a really cool thing for me. So Ollie's mum has been invited into the base of the Rangers to kind of go over the parts, because the Rangers know that I think a part is missing, or they're going to talk about it. So Ollie's mum is like, oh my god, this is cool. And one thing that annoys me is Ollie obviously wants to tell his mum that he's a Power Ranger, but it's like trying to impress her in a way. So as the Rangers say, like, oh, the capacitor for the device isn't working because it's been repaired, Ollie's mum has fixed it. And Ollie just goes like, oh yeah, like, you can tell your kind, beautiful, handsome son. And she's like, that's something that Ollie would say. And I was thinking, come on, man. Like, you're keeping up the dog voice and stuff like that, which is absolutely fine. But why would you be constantly saying like, oh, your son's amazing? Because that, I'd be like, oh, so you're Ollie then. Like, what? I'd be like, no, I'm not. But yeah, because no one would speak about that about themselves. So you're obviously Ollie. So I think that she kind of picks up on it a tiny bit, but just kind of dismisses it straight away. So they come up with a plan that they're going to use Ollie's mum as bait. So when they go off and like kind of like give her as a piece of bait, like Void Knight and all that will grab them, and then they'll be able to figure it all out, which is kind of a weird plan, because it feels like they were meant to pull Ollie's mum back or something, or the capacitors, they say, would blow the machine. But from the looks of it later on in the episode, it doesn't do it, because they said that they repaired it. So I think it's more kind of, it's a stupid kind of plot point to get rid of Zato for at least half an hour, or at least 20 minutes at least. So Ollie's mum goes off into town, and they're saying like, oh hey, like, just make something up. And she's like, yeah, the capacitor's finished and ready. And when Void Knight and the rest grab her, they put sleepy cuffs on her. And then Regal basically opens a portal to the dark dimension and just throws her in, and basically brings down Slifer and Mucus at the same time, and then jumps in with them. And I'm like, you could teleport anywhere so you could live, because you know what's going to happen. The Rangers are going to beat you. So I would have just gone, there's the dimension, I'm off, see you later. So this kind of makes Ollie absolutely pissed off. And I wholeheartedly agree. I'd be like, Zato, why that plan didn't work? We should have stayed around. We should have been around there. We should have stopped this. But it kind of, like, Ollie just goes mental at him. I would, in turn, be like, I would take it out on the bad guys. I would get super angry. I'd get super powerful. I would unleash hell if that was me. So Zato then calls his Zords, he morphs, he calls his Zords, he gets the T-Rex Zords that combine together. I don't know what name that they called it. Basically, this allows them to go into the dark dimension, because it opens up a portal through time and space. I just generally thought it opened a portal to other universes. So he goes in after Ollie's mum to try and find her, and I think this is all new CGI, so it's not actually, it's not something from the show, so this was all completely reshot, which is kind of cool, because you think that maybe they could have redone it on other things. But either way, we get a really cool scene with the Rangers morphing, and it's more the fact where the camera is, so it's kind of a wide shot back, and I really kind of like this, because we now see like all the Rangers wanting to defeat Boom Tower again for another one. I kind of really like the fact that as soon as the Rangers like defeat Boom Tower, like they go after him, they beat him completely by using different power-ups and combining it, giving it to Amelia so that she can take him down quite quickly. And as soon as the Rangers have like finished, like the destruction is there, Void Knight comes in and just throws sleepy cuffs on them, and they instantly fall asleep. And I'm thinking, why don't you just use this power all the time, but go after one Ranger per person and just put them to sleep? You would win a lot quicker than doing it. Now, this is the thing that I would have changed. I would have had Ollie get hit with the sleepy cuffs, so therefore it leaves Zato to be at the very end. But with all of this, like, you know, Ollie makes the complaint. It's like, hey, you know, not this again. And I generally thought he was going to say, oh, not the Lord Zed thing. So it's kind of nice to see that Ollie's like, oh god, this is happening again. So Void Knight takes the other Rangers away and straps them to the machine. Meanwhile, in the Dark Dimension, Zato defeats Regal very quickly, and he finds Ollie's mum and leaves Slifer and Mucus to kind of flow and float about in this Dark Dimension, and thus therefore returns back, takes the sleepy cuffs off Ollie's mum, and then kind of meets up with Ollie later on, and they come up with a plan because the statues now are linked to the powers of the Rangers, which I feel like that's a really bad thing, because now you've seen Void Knight, now you've seen like Slifer and Mucus have seen it, you could easily destroy those statues again. So what's the point? Like, I would have had it slightly different. It just makes no sense, because now you know how to take the Rangers' powers really quickly if you wanted to be like, I'm not bothering with them anymore. Destroy the statues and do that. We only know this because Ollie does this, and you know what else Ollie does? He also subscribes to the channel. He told me himself. So why not hit the like button, hit subscribe, and leave a comment on this episode, and obviously turn on the notifications. Ollie uses a speed key because we find out that the morphing grid will kill the Rangers because it's high concentrates, high amounts of energy running through the bodies of them, obviously draining it and powering the machine. Now, I've got to admit, creating a machine to absorb the morphing grid energy and actually having his wife or his partner there was a stroke of genius. It was quite nice seeing all that energy going in, and she's kind of like, you know, it looks like she's in pain. So like, I was doing that. So she's in pain for it. So she's kind of absorbing the energy, waking up, and it would be interesting to see that in the next season, if this thing she does come alive, she's got Ranger energy, she's also got Sporex energy, and I think that might be a battle to kind of turn her into, if she is the end game bad boss, that she's going to turn differently. So with the Ollie uses the powers, can't think of words, he uses his powers to destroy the statue because Zato has now been kind of put in sleepy cuffs and he's been connected to the machine. And Ollie saves the day, basically. The Rangers demorph, which then shows everything off to Ollie's mum, and she's like, oh my god. And I love the fact that Ollie's mum gets so angry that it looks, I wanted her to join the fight with a stick, because she obviously uses a stick to hit Void Knight with her earlier on. So she tells Void Knight if she hurts Ollie and his friends that she is going to absolutely go mental on her and destroy her completely and just like have at it. Like, I thought that was kind of a thing all the time. So Ollie's mum hides. The Rangers now have this epic fight scene. They have their weapons, they still attack, they still go everything. I love the fact that Amelia goes after Void Knight, and I think my favorite one is when you see Izzy just running to the machine and actually jumping up and destroying it or kind of damaging it more. You know, it's the way that she turns around to Void Knight, has a go at him, provokes him, which then causes him to teleport quickly over. And I generally kind of thought that was cool, using the teleporter rather than going back to the base. So in the end, the Rangers destroy the machine and it takes Void Knight out. You see Void Knight's sword hitting the ground or kind of sticking in it, and the Rangers kind of take it. They turn around saying, like, you know, they're not Rangers, but, you know, they have a saying on Rafcon, always a knight. No, once a knight, always a knight. This is when the Green Morphing Master turns up and all of a sudden like restores the power and says your journey is not complete. You still have a lot more to do, which then kind of they throw a line from Operation Overdrive and say once a ranger, always a ranger. We have then Solaran saying like, you know, there's more Sporix down in the city, go find them, and it's a great way to end the season. But we get one more kind of clip. The machine has been returned back to the base, and you just see Void Knight's broken helmet, and I'm like, oh my god, this is fantastic. This is what I kind of really want from the series. And that's it. It kind of ends. And this is the best one. Now, the next episode I didn't really like. And I feel like this was a wasted opportunity. But I feel like this would have been perfect to end the series completely. To say, hey, season 2. And you can have at the very end, when it goes to black, the Rangers will be back season 2. I think that would have been absolutely perfect. So for me, seeing all this, I really enjoyed it. I thought that the episode was, I think, is one of my favorites. I feel like there was so much in this one to kind of like make you want to watch the next season when it comes out, which I think will be next year sometime. But for me now, this was absolutely perfect. You had the right amount of storytelling, you had the right amount of suspense, you had the fact that the Rangers went full force, like they didn't stop. They went straight into attack, and we got a very epic non-morph fight, which I really wanted to see more on. And you could see that everyone played their part. You know, that they used their weapons well, which I thought was going to be connected to the grid, but obviously they're completely separate from what I can see. And I loved it. I loved the whole thing of the Rangers could have lost their powers and they would never have got them back, but obviously they needed them back. But I can imagine seeing this happening again, or this could have been done at the very end of season 2. But yeah, I absolutely love this episode. This is by far one of my favorites in the entire season. So yeah, I'm going to leave that. So your question of the day is, what did you think about this episode? Did you like it, or are you kind of on it? Do you think that this was a perfect way to end the series? Let me know down below in this comments, and if you're down there, why not hit like, subscribe, turn notifications on, because it really does help the channel grow. And thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとう。チャンネル登録、高評価お願い。